Oh, the weight of history bears down upon us like the oppressive sun over the arid plains of ancient Mesopotamia. Can you hear it? The echo of justice reverberating through the ages, a cacophony of anguish and despair. In the land where civilization first took root, where the Tigris and Euphrates whispered secrets to the winds, there thrived a society that wielded punishment like a sword, sharp and unyielding, slicing through the fabric of humanity with a ferocity that chills the very marrow of our bones. Imagine, if you will, the city of its ziggurats piercing the sky, casting long shadows over the streets where the cries of the innocent mingled with the wails of the damned. What was justice in this ancient realm? A mere illusion, a mirage shimmering on the horizon of morality. For in this cradle of civilization, the scales tipped not in favor of fairness, but in favor of brutality, where the slightest transgression could summon forth a tempest of retribution so fierce that it would leave the gods themselves trembling in their celestial abodes. Ah, the punishments! They were not mere consequences. They were spectacles, a theater of suffering played out before the eyes of the masses, a grim reminder of the price of dissent. Can you envision the fate that awaited the thief, the poor wretch who dared to lift a loaf of bread to feed his starving children? The judges, with their cold, unfeeling eyes, would decree a punishment so grotesque that it would curdle the blood of the onlookers. A hand severed, a life forever altered, a family plunged into despair, all for the crime of hunger. And the crowd, oh, the crowd. They would gather, their faces a tapestry of horror and fascination, as the blade fell, a swift and merciless end to a desperate act. Justice, they called it. Justice draped in the shrouds of agony. And what of the adulteress, the woman whose heart dared to stray from the bonds of matrimony? To her, the judges would not show mercy, for she had defied the sacred laws of fidelity. The punishment, a fate so cruel it would make the bravest of souls recoil in horror. She would be dragged through the streets, her hair disheveled, her spirit shattered, until she was cast into the depths of a pit, left to languish in darkness, a living tomb. Can you imagine the despair, the echoes of her cries reverberating off the stone walls, a haunting melody of betrayal and sorrow? And the men, those self-righteous guardians of virtue, would stand by, arms crossed, smirking at the spectacle, their hearts devoid of compassion. Oh, but let us not forget the sorcerers and magicians, those who dared to tread the treacherous line between the seen and unseen. In this land, where the divine and the mundane intertwined, to practice the arcane arts was to invite the wrath of the gods. And so, the punishment for such hubris was swift and merciless. They would be bound, their hands and feet shackled, dragged to the very edge of the city, where the stench of death hung heavy in the air. And there, in a ritualistic frenzy, the people would gather, their eyes alight with a morbid curiosity, as the flames licked at the sky, consuming the very essence of the accused, a pyre of despair, a conflagration of fear, as the cries of the damned mingled with the crackling of fire, a symphony of suffering that would echo through eternity. Oh, the brutality of it all, the sheer, unadulterated cruelty that defined justice in Sumer. It was a world where the line between right and wrong blurred into a haze of blood and tears. The laws etched in stone, were unyielding, their edicts as harsh as the sun that scorched the earth. Could there be redemption in such a landscape? Could mercy find a foothold in the hearts of those who wielded power? Nay, for they were consumed by their own righteousness, blinded by the belief that they were the arbiters of fate, the chosen ones to dispense punishment with a heavy hand. And yet, beneath the surface of this brutal justice, a flicker of humanity remained. There were whispers, hushed tones in the dark corners of the city, tales of those who dared to defy the system, the brave souls who stood against the tide of cruelty, who sought to carve a path of compassion in a world steeped in blood. They were the dreamers, the visionaries who saw beyond the stone tablets and the harsh decrees. Their hearts beat with a rhythm of hope, a hope that one day justice would not be a weapon but a shield, a protector of the weak and the downtrodden. But alas, their voices were often drowned out by the roar of the masses, the clamour of those who revelled in the spectacle of suffering. For in the eyes of the people, the punishment was a necessary evil, a means to maintain order in a world teetering on the brink of chaos. They believed in the righteousness of their laws, in the divine mandate that justified the bloodshed. And so, the cycle continued, a relentless wheel of pain and retribution, spinning faster and faster, consuming all in its path. Oh, the tragedy of it, the eternal struggle between justice and vengeance, a dance as old as time itself. In the land of Sumer, where the gods watched with indifferent eyes, humanity was left to grapple with the consequences of its own making. And as we stand here in the shadow of their legacy, we must ask ourselves, have we truly learned from their mistakes? Or do we continue to walk the same treacherous path, blinded by our own sense of righteousness, ready to punish without mercy, to condemn without understanding? The echoes of the past call out to us, urging us to remember, to reflect, to strive for a justice that transcends the brutality of our forebears.